it here.
Got it? Yeah, there.
Okay, so thank you, Judy, for our blessing. And I'm Louis Yaron, Rabbi Louis Yaron, and we are in Talmud Talks, continuing with our study of Tractate Barachot, and we are in the last parak. So let's move on. We're going to go into a screen share right now. And according to at least according to what they're telling me, we should be in a section that says rainbows, oceans, and heavens. So we're now on the 59th page, and we're beginning with discussion of certain things. We're now talking about when do you say blessings and what are the appropriate blessings. And we're going to look at a couple of things: rainbows, oceans, and the heavens themselves. And then if we finish this, we're going to start a study of a section that deals with rain. So would someone like to begin with Rabbi Alexandri?
I will.
I'll start.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Jared.
Okay. Rabbi Alexandri said that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, thunder was created only to impose fear and straighten the crookedness of the heart. As it is stated, and God has so made it that men should fear before him.
Okay, so we have our little quote, Elohim Asashi Yeru Milfanav, that people should fear. And here I think the root Yud Resh Aleph, which does mean to fear, but it could also mean to revere, here has the fear sense. So we have thunder, and Rabbi Joshua says thunder is only made to strengthen those who are crooked in their heart. So where's that coming from? And why would you think someone would say that? We know better. It's quite possible that they knew better as well. So why?
It almost sounds like striking the fear of God into your...
Yes, thunder was created to strike the fear of God in you. But here it isn't to, the Ecclesiastes quote, the Kohelet quote gives you the sense it was created to scare you. But here, they're taking that, and I know that Rabbi Steinsaltz wants to put to impose fear, but the Talmud doesn't. It just says, lo nivaru ra'anim ela lifshot ak mumit b'shavalei. So we're moving from being scared of thunder, and how many people are, if you have a dog, dogs are often scared of thunder. If you have a young child, they're often scared of thunder. Now, we know that lightning can zap you, but thunder just makes a loud noise. So we have this elemental sense of fear. And what is Joshua ben Levi doing with this sense of sort of primal fear? How is he transforming it? And who should be afraid?
Well, apparently, he's looking around in society, and perhaps the tools of righteousness and justice are not really working on their own.
Yeah.
So he needs another, arrow in his quiver?
Yes.
Yeah. So
the purpose of thunder here is a moral teaching. It's a communication somehow from the divine to tell us to behave, to straighten up. And what does it mean to be crooked in the heart? remembering the heart in ancient days is the seat of knowledge, both emotional and cognitive.
Do not do justly.
Not do justly, So God is the one who doesn't have any perversion in him, of latabo, but here it has this twistedness. So it's for Rabbi Joshua ben Levi, according to this tradition, thunder has a moral goal, an educational goal. So, what do you do, however? So thunder comes off, and after the thunderstorm, what might you see?
Rainbow.
A rainbow. So, do you know what the Jewish response to a rainbow is?
Blessing, no doubt.
Blessing, no doubt. That's right. That's sort of an obvious question because we're talking about blessings. So here it is. We see a rainbow, and Rabbi Alexandria is now talking more about the traditions he received from Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi about rainbows. So, Gail, can you read this next paragraph? Can you turn on your mute, Gail?
And Rabbi Alexandri said that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, one who sees a rainbow in a cloud must fall upon his face, as it is stated, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face. The colors of the rainbow symbolize the glory of God, and one may not stare at them.
Okay, so we have a couple things going on here. Number one, we have this additional explanation. And just put that aside for a moment. So we see a rainbow, and for Rabbi Joshua ben Levi, rainbows connected to a revelation. And that is the revelation to Ezekiel, which comes in the beginning of the book of Ezekiel. And many of you may remember that the book of Ezekiel opens with this phenomenal description of God appearing to Ezekiel as he's alongside one of the great canals in Bavel. And it's the vision of the divine chariot, the four beasts, the wheels, all these things moving around and around in lots of colors. And Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says here, if you see a rainbow, what you're supposed to think about is this transforming mystical revelation to the prophet Ezekiel. And what did Ezekiel do when he saw this rainbow-like thing? He fell upon his face. He kowtowed, so to speak, in a very reverential gesture. Do we go down on our hands and knees and touch our head to the ground often in the Jewish tradition?
Yes.
Nope.
Often, occasionally, yes.
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally, yes. In Islam, they do it 5 times a day. We do it usually on the high holidays during the recitation of the Musaf Amida when we do the Great Aleinu. And often we let the rabbi and the cantor and whoever's leading the service do it. And most of us just do our usual regular bow. But we're all invited to do so, though it probably wouldn't work in our congregation because there isn't space. Remember, we learned a long, long time ago that in the temple of old, when they all had to bow down, when the great name of God was proclaimed, the temple expanded magically so that there was room for everyone to get down on their hands and knees. And when they got up again, it was reduced. So we do this. So he's connecting rainbows with revelation. What is our other connection with rainbow? What is our other connection? What do we usually think of?
Noah
Noah. Okay. And what is the rainbow with Noah?
symbolizes that the storm is over.
Yeah,
And, we're ready to get back to the land.
that's right. It's called a sign. What is it a sign of? What is how does scripture describe the relationship between God and Israel when we are talking about rainbows? How does God relate to humanity after Noah? What is the legal term we use? Covenant, remember? It's a brit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just like there's a brit on Sinai, that Shabbat is a sign of the covenant. Brit Milah is a sign of is a covenantal sign. Rainbow is a covenant between God and creation, or God and humanity. So with that in mind, let's continue with our story. So Gail, can you continue reading?
Yet in the West, Eretz Israel, they would curse one who fell upon his face when seeing a rainbow, because it appears as one who is bowing to the rainbow. As far as blessing is concerned, however, all agree that one certainly recites a blessing. What blessing does one recite? Blessed who remembers the covenant with Noah.
Yes. Zocher habrit. So when you say it, it's Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Zocher habrit, remembering the covenant. So we have here a sense of two different practices, one in Bavel, one in Babylon, and one in the Ma'arava, or the Mariv in Hebrew, in the West, and the West refers to Eretz Yisrael. It's from their perspective. But they agree that it all connects with Noah. But we continue. So, Gail, I want to ask you to finish up.
It was taught in a Baraita that Rabbi Yishmael, son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka, says that the blessing is, blessed who is faithful to his covenant and fulfills his word. Rav Papa said, therefore we will say them both combined. Blessed who remembers the covenant and is faithful to his covenant and fulfills his word.
Yeah. So we've seen a couple of things here in this little passage that aren't, let's say, earth-shattering, but one that different communities had different understandings and different practices. Perhaps in Bavel, they focused on the Ezekiel interpretation, the revelation to Ezekiel, because they're living in the same place where Ezekiel had his revelation. And in some way, that confirms the legitimacy of Jewish life in the diaspora, that wherever Jews are, God is in some way present. I believe that's clearly the teaching in the book of Ezekiel, and it's a sense that Jews have carried. The people in the land of Israel focus primarily on the covenant with Noah, which is our tradition. The other thing is, we've seen, what do you do when you have two legitimate traditions? You can't say one is better than the other. What's the practice?
We combine them.
You combine them.
Both good.
They're both good, so you try to make them work. So we have a number of examples of that. One that you may be familiar with is the prayer for peace at the end of the Amidah. During the day, it is different than during the night. So Shalom Rav is in the evening, if I could get this always mixed up. And does anyone remember the one we will be singing on a Saturday? Okay, we can move on. We'll figure it out. Homework. Mountains and hills. So we've just learned that if we see lightning, hear thunder, we're supposed to become righteous. We get our heart in order. If we see a rainbow, we are to remember the Brit and God. Remember that God remembers God's Brit, and God is faithful to His covenant. And now we go on to mountains and hills. So, where is it remarkable to see mountains and hills? And why would in the desert? No, they have mountains and hills and deserts. South Jersey is a place where we don't see mountains and hills. Mount Holly is about 40 feet high, maybe. Pine Hill, not much higher. Those are the high points where we live. Babylon is basically a huge floodplain, southern Iraq. No mountains and hills. What did the ancient Babylonians build to give a place for their gods? Remember the ziggurat, the pyramid, that large pyramid type things where they put their temples on the top? They had to have artificial mountains and hills. If you live in the Poconos, seeing a mountain is not particularly remarkable. Or out in Denver. But if you're living in a flat area, mountains and hills are worthy to remark. So let's learn about mountains and hills. Number 13, do I have another reader?
I can read.
Okay, Ira.
Okay, we learned in the Mishnah that over mountains and hills one recites blessed author of creation. The Gemara asks, is that to say that all those that we mentioned until now, such as lightning, are not acts of creation? Among God's praise for the creation of the world and forming the mountains, is it not also written, He makes lightning for the rain?
That's right. So here the first problem is we have this blessing, and you say, God is the author of creation. Maaseh Bereshit. And the Gemara is asking a good question. So what's special about mountains? God created everything. And I have a nice pasuk, a nice verse that will support it. So Abaye comes in, and he's a really important scholar. There's a little blurb on him. And what is Abaye going to say? Want to continue, Ira, please?
Sure. Thanks. Abaye said, combine the two statements and teach that in all the cases in our Mishnah, one recites these
two blessings.
Two blessings. And
two
what
blessings.
are the two? Yeah, two blessings. And what is Rava going to continue to say?
So Rava said, there over lightning and thunder, one recites two blessings, blessed, whose power fills the world, and author of creation. Here, however, over mountains and hills, one recites the blessing, author of creation, but not need recite, whose power fills the world.
Why not? Why is author of creation good enough, but you don't need Shekochoma Leolam, whose power fills the world? What's different between the experience of lightning, thunder, and those things, and the experience of seeing a mountain?
I guess the mountains are permanent. They're here. They're on Earth. We see them every day. Whereas there's special blessings for lightning and thunder, rainbows that are special phenomena.
Okay, so that makes sense. So one of the things is that mountains are there, but the rainbows are special, or thunder is special. It comes and goes. What could be another reason? When you see a mountain, one can be impressed by its size. It could be moving. I know that sometimes, when I've seen mountains, it's you get a sense of our smallness, the greatness of the world, and all that. But it is, for me, rather site specific, both the word visual sight and location sight, that there's the mountain. When I experience thunder, I experience something that's all around me. Or I experience lightning. It's something that is all around me. It's not here, it's not there. It sort of fills my little olam, my little world. So perhaps that's another way of looking at it. That when I see a mountain, when I see a unusually formed person, when I eat something that is particularly good, it's very much localized. But certain things like thunder sort of surround and shake my world. You don't have to like that.
Rabbi,
Yes.
thing I was thinking of is that lightning can be a very destructive force in causing fires and
Yeah.
destroying people, whereas the mountains, unless there's an avalanche or something like that, doesn't really involve something that would be dangerous to the person who's observing it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's another way that there's something. Thunder can scare us. Okay, Shimi, please. Sorry.
Um, So remember that crazy evangelical preacher who said that gay people cause earthquakes?
I never, no, I don't, I can imagine that, but I don't recall that craziness specifically, but yes.
So I'm really tripping up on, we started with twisted hearts and now
Yeah.
we're on creation. It's like, how is any of this even remotely relevant to anyone living in 2025?
Well, first, I think whatever that evangelical preacher said is sure nonsense. We know that gay people don't cause earthquakes any more than other corrupt, let's say, than corrupt politicians cause earthquakes. That's also that concern for sexuality is his problem, and not necessarily the problem of the rabbis, nor necessarily the problem of the Jewish tradition. The further thing is that even the concept of being gay is probably a modern way of dealing with various understandings of human sexuality, and is not at all operative in the period that we're looking at. So there's a really good chance that the way we discuss sex and gender is culturally specific. That is tied to time and place. That being said, how does this relate to people? I think what it relates to, what it asks us to do, is to be aware of the world around us and to respond to the spiritual potentiality in creation, and to look at how it touches us on different levels beyond just the cognitive. One of the things that I noticed in Japan is the continuation of the very ancient traditions that go back to and Japanese antiquity, and a animistic view of the world in which spiritual powers are found all over, and one is called upon to respond to them. We may call these, or we probably mistakenly call these as gods. The Japanese word is kami, and it probably can be referred to spirits. So we as Jews don't, let's say, worship or honor the spirit in a rainbow or the spirit in a waterfall or the spirit in a mountain, but we are asked to be aware of the spiritual impact of seeing these things. So for me, this seems to be, our blessing system seems to be a way of causing us to, or asking us to pause and think about what is happening when things happen. So we just don't say it's just a rainbow, or we just don't say, oh, just thunder, or we don't say, no, just another mountain. Think about the ways it's touching us. Does that help or make any sense?
I mean, I'm really still tripping up on, we opened with twisted hearts and continued on to thunder, striking fear to straighten the heart. And
Okay,
now we're
yeah.
talking about
That's a great,
rainbow.
I understand where you're going here, but I think what the first thing is doing is that it's taking an idea that we get scared. And the idea here is that it's not to get us to fear God, but to get us to be aware of who we are and what we're doing. So crooked heart to me, and I think as Jerry pointed out, generally refers to corrupt behavior, oppressive behavior in terms of treating other people. So a crooked heart could be using your position to take advantage of other people. Crooked heart is a person who knows what the straight way is, that is, how to do something correctly, but sees an advantage and will wiggle around the law to get there. A crooked heart is a certain sense of meanness. A crooked heart is someone who uses one's gifts in ways that damage others. So I think what was being said there, this is what I believe, is that we're taking a human experience and we're moving it from a general sense of thunder is scary then to a sense that, oh, I'm scared and I should be afraid of God, to a better state saying that thunder is a call to teshuvah.
You just
And
added repentance to twisted heart and thunder and brimstone.
yeah, the idea is it's not that you should, well, it's thunder, it's not brimstone, it's just that sound. You hear that sound and it shakes you, and every time you're shaken, this is a call from God to repent. And I don't think here that this has anything to do with sexual sins in any specific way. I think it just has to do with a general sense of human crookedness. A thief is, why do we call a thief a crook? So that's where I think it's going, to call people to teshuvah. God is telling you to stand up straight, be upright. And that can cover a whole list of behaviors. I like to think about it in terms of our societal stuff. What are we doing that's crooked and reference to people around us? What is it? What are social structures? How are they crooked? How are the policies we're following leading to crookedness? Now, they're not getting us where we want to go. Happy or not, or should I move on?
Yeah, I don't, maybe it's a subject for a private discussion. I don't want to
Yeah,
monopolize the class.
no, please. I'd love to have a private discussion with anyone
Yeah.
here. So, please reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being retired, I'm so busy. So anytime you want, please, text me. That's to everyone. Or send me an email or call. Okay, so now we have firmament in its purity. That is, you look at the heavens. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, one who sees the firmament in its purity recites, blessed Ose Bereshit is the one who creates, the author of creation. They want to Ose, the one who does. And then the Gemara is going to ask, Imatai. So when does the firmament appear in its purity? What the hell are you talking about, pardon me? When you say Rakia betaharata. What does that mean? Can the heavens not be tahor? How do you apply the issues of tahor tameh to the heavens? When would you see the firmament in a state of tu'umah, impurity? So we're looking at natural phenomena here. My guess is every time I have the opportunity to see a star full of skies, I am amazed. It's even more amazing if I can get to a place where there's no light pollution and I can see the Milky Way. Now, these people didn't have to deal with light pollution as we do, so they could see that those full heavens anytime it's not cloudy.
Yeah.
So
I would say cloudy, but also when it's heavily raining or hailing or whatever, anything that blocks the clear view.
yeah. So I would say that Abaye agrees with you, Ira. And would you like to read what Abaye says?
Okay. Abaye said, when rain falls all night and in the morning, a northern wind blows, exposing the heavens.
Yeah. That when the heavens are covered, then they are like, quote, in Tuma. They are,
yeah.
But when they are open, it's a cloudless day, that is the Taharata in her, its purity. So you wake up and it's a gorgeous spring day, not a cloud in the sky, and you are to give thanks or to acknowledge this. So you could sing, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. That's one way of doing it, but it's that, again, responding to our sense of something's really special going on. So once we go to this, we
Rabbi,
change. Yes.
why wouldn't we feel that way when experiencing the hurricane from the previous section? Why don't we see that as the firmament appearing in its purity?
Good question. Do you feel different when you wake up on a cloudy, wet morning in November than you do when you wake up to a bright, sunny day in May?
Well, I used to, but I no longer feel that way. It's, thank God, more positive now for me personally. When I see either either one. When I was much younger, it was cause for a mood change.
No.
And I'd be negative seeing the rain and positive seeing the sun. But as I aged, just seeing the weather in all its glory, if it doesn't rip through my house, I can appreciate it.
Okay, so you're in a thunderstorm. What's your response?
To cover myself.
Spiritually, according to the Jewish tradition.
Oh, spiritual, to thank God.
You say a blessing.
Yeah.
So when the weather is great, what's your response?
To say a blessing.
Okay. Is it necessarily the same blessing? It's a pretty similar blessing, but it's the response is a blessing.
Yeah.
So you're
I
called,
agree with that.
yeah. So you're going to be called upon to respond, to be sensitive to your spiritual state at that moment and respond by saying a formula. May be different, but there's still an acknowledgement that something is happening to us in a spiritual way, an emotional way. We feel things differently. We see things differently when these various things are going up around us, and they all deserve acknowledgement. So, yes, Ira.
So I used to do a lot of traveling when I was in the workforce, and depending on where you go, if you see rain going, sometimes it means get shelter fast. Or if you see clouds, it might mean that there's a tornado coming or something else. If you see a clear sky, though, it means the sky is clear. And it means you're not in danger.
Yeah.
So I'm putting myself back in time to when this was written, and unless the sky is really clear, there's always that chance of something going wrong.
Yeah.
So, at least for me, there's a difference there.
So one of the things you're saying is they're probably more sensitive to all the potentialities that could go on, and that can have a deeper human response, and that in some way, because of the world in which we live in, we've been cushioned against that. So our spiritual sensitivities have been dull.
Yeah.
And you think that's a good thing, a bad thing, or just what we have to deal with?
I think it's a bad thing. But also it means that if I go inside a shelter, I'll have a comfortable place to sleep or to eat or something else. But that's modern. But it also means that I'm not going to get the full, wonderful picture when it's clear, because I'll have buildings blocking the way or something else. So I think there's a difference.
Yeah. But when you're in your shelter and you're worried, you can still say a blessing. Remember, we say blessings.
Oh, there's no reason to never not say a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can say a blessing over many things, but there's also this. It's different.
It's different. Yes, the response is different, and that's different where we live and where we're in the world that our ancestors were in. But again, I'm really pushing. All this is to keep us to present us with an opportunity to be spiritually aware of what's happening around us, and to see how it touches who we are as human beings in ways that are not only emotional, not only cognitive, but they can respond to everything.
But gratitude is always good.
Gratitude is always good, but also being aware, what is it, like raindrops are falling on my head? That's a good thing. What does that mean? What are those sensations? We think of lots, popular songs that we remember deal with the phenomena of the world. And this is a way of acknowledging that these are important. Okay, what is going to have a little thing. There's going to be a disagreement. Poliga de Rafam Bar Papa. So Would you like someone like to read number 15?
I'll read. The
Yes.
Gemara notes, and in this they disagree with Rafram bar Papa, who said that Rav Chisda said, as Rafram bar Papa said, that Rav Chisda said, oh boy, since
Yeah.
the day the temple was destroyed, the firmament has not been seen in its purity, as it is said, I clothe the heavens with blackness, and I make sackcloth their covering.
Okay. So here's a reflection on what does it mean to live in Galut? What does it mean to live in exile? What does it mean to live in a world in which that place of contact, that special place of contact between the divine and creation, no longer exists?
It's like they're in perpetual mourning.
It could be, yeah. These guys are talking about being in some type of perpetual mourning, that there's something missing from the world, that there's a sense of alienation. And that's not an unusual theme in the Jewish tradition. There's the counteracting theme that when the temple was destroyed, God went into exile with the Jewish people, that God is always present. We have that earlier reference with Ezekiel, that God is revealing God's self in a magnificent way, even in the diaspora, in Galut, in Babylon. But here there's the other side, a sense of being in Galut means that there's some type of alienation from the divine. And not only are the Jewish people physically in Galut, but the world is in some way separated. There's a break in the order of creation. And these are some of the ideas that ultimately get played out in mysticism and the concept of tikkun olam, that is correcting the order of the world, which includes, but far more so than social action. That our spiritual activities in some way can bring unity, reconnection. So just playing out another theme. Here we were talking about all those wonderful opportunities to have spiritual experiences and all that's happening in creation. And then they're saying, but things really aren't perfect right now. So the last thing is the Birchat HaChama, the blessing of the sun, every 28 years. So it's sometime in the 2030s we'll be experiencing this again. And the sages taught, one who sees the sun in the beginning of its cycle, the moon in its might, the planets in their orbit, and the signs of the zodiac aligned in their order, recites, blessed the author of creation. So they're going to know, what does the purity mean? So here what the sages are trying to think about is when the sun returns to the same position it was on day 4 of creation. That's when the heavens are pure. That's when everything is put out. Sun, moon, and stars. And they try to figure that out through their interest in ancient astronomy. I didn't want to go through an astronomical discussion of this. Please excuse me, because it really means that we have to go and think about the world not the way we do, but with a geocentric universe and all that sort of stuff. But apparently every 28 years, the sun comes back to the same place. So the cycle is complete and returns to its beginning. And Nisan, which is the vernal equinox, when the spring days and night are of equal length, falls within the constellation of Saturn on the night of the 3rd and the eve of the 4th day. So Erev, the 4th day of creation, every 28 years, it's the same. So we have a set of blessings. Finally, the Great Sea. Would someone like to learn about what happens when you see the sea? Hopefully, we'll get to do it this summer.
We learned in the Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda said, one who sees the great sea intermittently recites, Blessed who has made the great sea. The Gemara asks, how much is intermittently? Rabbi Bar Abba said that Rav Yitzhak said 30 days.
Okay. So you've rented your beach house, or you own your beach house, and you've been, the first day you go to the beach, you recite a blessing. Wow, this is really cool. And do you have to do it every day you get up, or every time you get to the beach, or every time you want to sunbathe? No. But you go and celebrate the 4th of July there, but you don't get back to the beach until, let's say, Memorial Day, and you see it again, then you can recite it. And then you wait a little while longer, and it's Thanksgiving, I want to go down to Cape May. You go there and you can recite it again. But you don't do it every time. You do it when it is really remarkable. So I'm going to lecture again. So what I think is happening in this section is that the sages were aware of the way the world touches us spiritually, that they sense that there was some type of connection to the divine that we need to sense, acknowledge, and respond to. Part of the response is praise. Part of the response is gratitude. Part of the response is awareness. And part of the response can be moral correction. But it is not, what happens to us is not trivial. Everything in this world has this type of potentiality. So when you go to a shrine in Japan, you go through a gate. You have to stay on the left or the right so you don't get in, you don't interrupt the flow of energy coming out. You go in and you make a donation. You always give tzedakah. Clap a couple times to it so that your presence is acknowledged. Bow a couple times for respect. Share your thoughts, meditate, do whatever, bow, and then walk out. And when you leave the gate again, bow. And that's it, waterfalls and mountains, and then you can see spirits and animals and all sorts of things. Now, we don't do it that way. We're not animists. But we do have a sense that divine power is all around us. When we get to next week, we're going to be looking at the prayer Nishmat Kol Chai. We'll read a little bit from the Talmud that sort of introduces that prayer, and then we're going to read the prayer in its entirety. It's a very ancient prayer, and it talks about the ways that we can connect to the divine in this world. So it's talking about the nishmat, the soul of every living thing. Any questions? Because I have 2.5 minutes left.
Rabbi,
I'm gonna
sorry,
stop. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know I won't be here the next 2 weeks because we're going on vacation.
Wow. Hope you're going to a good place. Where are you
We
going?
are. We're going to London, and then we're taking a cruise to Spain and Portugal.
Not bad.
No,
It's
we're
me.
very
I'm going. Sorry.
Go.
I'm going to visit my kids in LA. So I'll see you also on the 27th.
Okay. Well, we'll continue anyway. We'll miss you. Remember, we're going to be on, and you'll have internet, so you can always come in and tell us what you're doing in London or on your cruise. Which cruise line?
Royal.
Nice. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
So what they say is when you start the cruise, the showers and you're big enough. When you end the cruise, they're too small. So I wish
I'll
you.
Thank you. I'll say a blessing to the sea.
Yes, please. Now be aware of. I mean, now that you know, you have to be aware of all these cool things that you're seeing.
Yes.
And have you been to Spain before?
I have not. I'm very excited.
Oh, you should be. It's just wonderful. Downside with Spain, there are a lot of Jewish places, but most of the sites are signs that saying 500 years ago there were Jews.
Wow. We are going to a temple in one of the
Yeah, Toledo has a temple.
yeah, I don't think that was where we were. It's a short. It's like one of the oldest temples in Spain. So
Yeah, you'll
we're
find
gonna
some
go
cool
visit
stuff
that.
there. There's a lot of, it's just really wonderful there.
Great.
So enjoy your trip. Jerry,
Thank
enjoy
you.
your family.
Thank you so much.
I assume everyone else is going to be stuck with me.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to wish everyone all the best. I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to Shimi and Cindy, but I do wish everyone all the best. I'll see you next week, and we'll learn about how the soul of every living thing praises God.
Blessings. Have a good week.
Blessings and
Have
safe
fun,
travels.
Ann and
Nisiya
Jerry.
Tova, Ann and Jerry.
Thank you. Be
Bye
well.
bye.